Hello, and welcome to a level 314 free-to-play account. That's right, look up there. There is no VIP. This account belongs to Heisenberg. You might know this account from my highest viewed YouTube video of all time, which is the original account review for this account. It was filmed years ago, and a lot has changed since then. We've seen the addition of the Transition Temple, we've seen the Auction House, we've seen the Tree of Origin, tons of things that improve the power of our heroes. But Heisenberg joins us once more to go ahead and see how his account is getting on. In good old Heisenberg fashion, he has hoarded absolutely everything. We're even sitting on 8 Transcending Spheres. We have 2 million Stellar Shards right here. We've got a B-Stone ready for an Awakening event. We've even got 10 million Crystals of Transcendence, because he wasn't sure who he wanted as a Transcendence hero. And to top that off, he can have some experimentations, because he has 345 soul symbols. Absolutely fantastic. Take a look at his chests. We have so many Core of Origin boxes. Now, unfortunately, a lot of these don't happen to be like this one that contains 50. These ones here are random scam chests, right? They contain singles, so these aren't that great. But ignoring these 3 here, these 2 in the top right and this one over here at the left on the second row, the rest of them are actually legit Core of Origin boxes, which is quite nice. Also, he never spent his 100 Core of Origins he got from campaign, so he sat on an absolute stack right there, which is also pretty exciting. So for Heisenberg, he's kind of in a situation where it's like, look, I don't know where to take my cores, I don't know what heroes to build. All I know is it's probably going to end up being Doom Terminator Vulcan or Aspen, and that's pretty fair enough. A lot of people will choose, as free-to-play players, to go with Vulcan to make some progress, or go with Aspen because his Destiny improvements are so great. One issue for Heisenberg, though, is a severe lack of sublimation. Because we picked up Core of Origins quite a lot, you can see our sublimation isn't that fantastic. Now, Freya's got what she needs, that's good, as does Jara, which is potentially nice, and then Vesa has an active skill, so all these things are fine, but then when we move on, you see Halora's only got an active skill, Swordflash has nothing, Aspen's got nothing, and that's it. The only things we have on top of that is a potential 90,000 for a passive 1, we've got 45,000 for an active, a few little dregs for our other passives, and then we have some chests. We've got a melon chest and a lemon chest. Combine that with these 14 Tree of Origin chests, we probably have just enough to make a hero fully sublimed if we went ahead and took the sublimation off of Jara, but other than that, we don't really have that much sublimation knocking around. So first piece of advice for Heisenberg, focus on sublimation whenever you get a chance. Now, you might also notice there's not a lot of B heroes, so if you're a person who is a free-to-play player and you're curious where on earth do you get B heroes from? Well, this is an account that's only done Awakens and the Gala. That's it, right? So Heisenberg's only got a few B heroes in his time. We've got a Vesa here, we've got a Tussalago, there's a Vulcan chilling here, actually, in the Light faction, and then we got that B-Stone in the bag. So we've had a few Bs, probably mostly guaranteed, not a lot of high rolls, but that's not where most free-to-play players actually get their B heroes from. And this seeplus to be something that Heisenberg has missed out. If I filter by Awakened tier, Heisenberg has tons of Cs. We've got a C+, a bunch of Cs, and some C-. You can sell these in the auction house. And when big events like this one here, the Mid-Autumn Celebration, come along, people love to go ahead and use contract story gems to buy value packs. In fact, whales do that every single week. But whales love to use story gems to go to the auction house and buy cheap hero copies. For example, if I go ahead and look at a C+ here, normally they disassemble for 200. But if I go ahead and filter by buyout price, you can see you can grab one here for 157. That's going to net you 43 contract story gems in profit. That's not too bad. And it's the same with your other ones as well, like C- here. If you go for Cs, this one's 110, and they destroy for 150. So all in all, not bad value. And this is something that free-to-play players and budget players have figured out. You can sell your Cs, C+, and C- for lower than retirement value, and someone out there will definitely buy them, because they want to get as many contract story gems for their story gems as possible. Using that system, any free-to-play player or budget player can sell their Cs and gain story gems. And then you can use those story gems in the auction house to go ahead and buy copies of heroes you want. But you can see Heisenberg hasn't even set a password for his auction house. That means he's never interacted with this at all. There are no transaction records whatsoever. So that means we're missing out on potential hero copies. Heck, let me show you. If I go to B's, B pluses, and B minuses, let me filter for Ailemak. Let me show you a really interesting Ailemak copy we spotted on the market just today. For 249, which is less than 300 retirement value, you can grab yourself an Ailemak copy with a decent attack stat and a decent health stat. And for even less, there's one here that's got a B in attack. That's awesome if you wanted to get yourself a decent Ailemak copy without breaking the bank. You could literally sell 2 C or C plus heroes and actually be able to buy this. So that is how free-to-play players get themselves really powerful heroes in the auction house. It's simply by getting Cs and then selling them to the whales. Nice and simple. So that would be my piece of advice here for Heisenberg. And when I first suggested that to him, Heisenberg did what any person would do and went, I can't sell my Cs. I haven't finished using them. Well, if you go ahead and sell the ones that you are using, just make sure you buy back a hero you need, right? Considering that only a C and a C plus is enough to get you a decent B minus, you could easily sell this Natalie and that Freya and get yourself a B minus Freya. And you could do the same for the Freya, the Halora, maybe even the Jara if you plan on using her, and away you go. And also, check this out. This is Heisenberg's greatest awaken he's ever gotten. This is a 4800 attack B minus Tussalago. And that might not sound that exciting. You might know Tussalago's a bit of a mediocre light hero, and that's putting it nicely. But 4800 attack is nice, and she's a tenant for 2 of the funnest heroes in the game, Vulcan and Asmodel. And if you were going to use either of those, Tussalago is actually the best for them tenant slots because it's only assassins, and Tussalago happens to be the one with the skin, so she gets a slight edge. However, if we move to Tussalago in the auction house, take a look at this. Remember, Heisenberg's had 4800 attack. Well, there's not even a Tussalago on the market with that much attack. And that means Heisenberg could even just suggest the market price for his Tussalago. Granted, she's only a B minus, so there will be a cap on how much you can sell that for, but there's going to be a whale out there somewhere that looks at that and goes, ooh, that will give me a little bit more attack. So he could sell that probably pretty easily for at least 1,000 starry gems, and I reckon there's going to be someone out there that might buy it. Then again, you've got to compete with this one. That's 4,500 in attack and 4,700 in HP, so maybe it won't sell for that much, but heck, there's going to be someone out there that's interested. I promise you that. Either way, you go ahead and grab yourself a Tussalago. It'll be pretty good. Now, you might be seeing around here, there's a lot of Stellar Shards floating around, and we only have 3 Tree of Origin 5 heroes. If we went ahead and stripped this Elena, stripped this Asmodel, and if we filter by imprint, you'll see we've also got ourselves a Rogan and a Drake, who avoid 3. We can get all that stuff off. We can potentially build ourselves, if you include also all the Stellar Shards in the bag and these 8 spheres here, we could probably get to 6 Tree of Origin 5 heroes, which is pretty nice. There's also a chance where we might want to have maybe only 5 Tree of Origin 5 heroes and Destiny improve a hero. We do have all these Cores of Origin floating around, so that's potentially an option. In fact, Lord of Fear Aspen could be pretty cool if you did that. Or maybe even go for someone like a Vulcan. With all that power, you could give yourself a really, really interesting team with having Destiny heroes on there as well, which is pretty fun considering you're free to play. I don't know many free to play players with Destiny heroes, so that could be really, really nice. My personal opinion would be to go for Aspen, because Aspen is a probably more strong investment in the later terms, so grabbing the good Awaken heroes from the auction house will definitely pay off. Then again, you do have a decent Awaken on Vulcan, you've got a decent Tussalago, you could go with yourself having a Vulcan, and that's also fine. Vulcan will perform better in campaign generally, but I think in time, Aspen will be able to catch up there as well. And you are at 352, which is the classic bottleneck for a free-to-play player, so you will need to go with one of those heroes to try and progress further. Anyway, heroes to consider as well are Ailemak, who we don't currently have. He will be fantastic because he'll give you shields and protection, and that will generally give you a pretty solid lineup. You'll always want to have Halora, Elena, Freya, and Ailemak on a team. And then if I was using, let's say, a Lord of Fear Aspen, I'd have him and then probably throw in a Star Alchemist Holmes Young or a Betty just to give you some survivability. In the case of Vulcan, I'd run him and then probably run Betty or Natalie just to give you some survival or CC there. Both heroes will also benefit from the Ailemak shields, of course, to keep them alive and, of course, eventually do more damage. So Yeah, you'd run Ailemak as a second homeowner. And given that our friend here, Mr. Heisenberg, has 10 million Crystals of Transcendence, that means he has 10 Transcendence heroes in theory, so he shouldn't struggle getting tenants for the Ailemak. The only thing he's going to struggle with is getting the Stellar Shards to make them more powerful. Therefore, you could consider the Star Alchemist Holmes Young with the Lord of Fear Aspen as your 6th hero, because that actually means investing in him and making him a Tree of Origin hero is also going to benefit the attack stat of Ailemak. And the more attack Ailemak has, the better survivability you'll have, which makes it more reliable for you to beat the Void Invasion boss right here. A good team with Elena and Ailemak has a lot of survivability and the ability to remove crowd control, which is exactly what your Lord of Fear Aspen will need to beat this boss. The more you beat this boss, the more Spirit Vein shards you'll get, the more Stellar shards you'll get, and the more Aurora Gem shards you'll get. Plus, there's some Crystals of Transcendence in here as well. All of that stuff will stack up for even more rewards, which in the long term, of course, is going to get you more Destiny improvements, which means that Lord of Fear Aspen is then going to become stronger and then beat more bosses. So Lord of Fear Aspen definitely jumps out to me as the better pick, but of course, things can all be done with a Vulcan as well. Now, for those of you that have never seen Heisenberg's account before, or are curious what he's up to at the moment, look at all that food! This is a classic old free-to-play player who ain't struggling on food anymore. You might think this is just how whale accounts look. Yeah, no. It gets to a point where even free-to-play players have played so long that they just have way too much food. He has 796 5 stars. We have 285 Elite Hero 5 stars. Not to mention dozens and dozens and dozens of heroes from every other faction. So here's a funny thing I noticed with his account. We've got ourselves a Vesa as a homeowner, but we're using a Rogan as a tenant. And you might find that just kind of standard. You're like, yeah, Rogan's a good hero, so why would I not put him in tenant spot 1? Well, let me just take you for a quick journey to the Cloud Island and remind you who Vesa's tenants are. If we scroll down, you'll see Vesa not just has Rogan in tenant spot 1, but she also has herself. And priests are better tenants than assassins. So really, with all that food, we should have ourselves a Vesa in tenant spot 1. And you can keep the Rogan, just don't use him as a tenant. As well, if you look at his Aspen, he's using Drake. So if you were going to carry on using Aspen, I would go ahead and build yourself another Aspen, and that's just to play tenant for him. And we do have the Dark food for that as well. If you go take a look at his Dark faction, we got a couple 9-star Amon Raj just chilling. We got a lot of 5 stars here for the Dark faction as well. And not to mention, we have a bunch of 6 stars and a bunch of 5-star fodders. Look at that, 53 5 stars in the Dark faction. It's not like we're struggling for Dark food, so we absolutely can justify building an E5 Aspen as well. And you might think, is it promotion stones holding you back? This guy ain't no whale. Only whales will struggle on promotion stones at this point. That's 2 million right there. He's absolutely fine. The only thing that he's really struggling with is because he's an older free-to-play player, is Master's Toolboxes. That's the one thing you can't even see in this account. He has loads of the other resources, but Master's Toolboxes are nowhere to be seen. So yeah, takeaways for this account is, oh my word, you've got so much food, and oh my word, those C tiers need selling, so you can buy some B tiers to make your Awakens better. Every free-to-play player or whale has something they can do, no matter how old they are, to make their account more powerful, and hopefully the things we've said today are going to be not just good for Heisenberg, but for any free-to-play player that's struggling with getting B tiers or trying to stretch out their progress that little bit more. Good luck to you, Heisenberg. I think with some switching around in the auction house, getting those sales done, and considering more sublimations, we'll probably return to this account and see what happens when it gets transformed into something with Destiny Heroes. I'm pretty sure folks at home might want to know what a free-to-play player would look like with Destiny Heroes, and if that's what you want to see, let me know in the comment section what you think he should go for, Vulcan or Aspen. Either way, we're going to need more sublimation, and we're going to need some better Awakens in the meantime. Probably going to wait till Halloween for that to happen. So subscribe, and potentially in a few weeks, we'll see where he's up to. Either way, I'll see you in the next one. Good luck on your free-to-play journey if that's you. And let me know in the comments section whether you would go with Vulcan or Aspen. Either way, until next time, have a good week, and happy idling. Wait, what do you mean, what armor? You mean, who should you make resonance armor for? Your main heroes and anyone you need to be quick. So Freya and Halora, and then whoever your main homeowners are. I hope that helps.